Hi, I'm Brooks Raiford, President and CEO of the North Carolina Technology Association, or NC Tech. And I'm coming to you to bring the latest results from our twice monthly tech leadership poll. We've been going out to several hundred leaders within the tech community across North Carolina to gauge their sentiments on the impact of COVID-19 on their business in terms of demand for their business, their hiring practices, whether or not they're seeing an increase in work from home and what they think that will look like in the long term. We also asked them some questions that are predictive in nature, so we'll get to those in a moment. It's a very short poll, about 8 or 9 questions, and we asked the same questions at the end of a month and at the middle of the next month and so forth. So we've done this at the end of March, at the middle of April, and then again on the 30th of April for end of the month. And I want to thank Stearns Financial, one of NC Tech's member firms, for supporting this poll series by being our sponsor. We will be doing this in April, May, and June. So thanks very much to Stearns Financial for supporting our efforts to bring this insight to you. I'm going to share my screen and walk through briefly the graphs that show what the responses were and tell you a little bit about how that compares to previous polling. What you'll notice in the first slide is that when we ask our respondents what percentage of their workforce is working from home, about 80% are saying that 90 to 100% of their workforce is working from home. This is consistent with the results in the previous poll or polls and has held pretty steady throughout. And I think it's clear that tech-oriented organizations are probably going to see this sort of response as compared to maybe some other industry sectors. And we then asked, in the aftermath of COVID-19, do you anticipate that work from home in your organization will become more common, will return to the pre-virus mix, or are you unsure? And the percentage saying becoming more common ongoing has risen from the previous polls. Now about 2/3 are saying they expect that. We asked what impact the current economic environment has had on your business. About 24% say it has increased demand, about 36% say neutral, and about 40% say there's been a decrease in demand. This is roughly on par with what previous polling has shown. Then we asked what impact the current economic environment has had on your hiring. And the latest responses are that 41% are saying their organizations are still hiring. About 48% are saying they've frozen, and about 11% are implementing or exploring reductions in pay, furloughs, and layoffs. That percentage has trended upward slightly since the beginning of this polling, and the still hiring is actually remaining fairly strong as well. We asked what month our respondents guess that in-person work, meetings, and events will resume. And you'll see that June and July really command most of the answers there. About 2/3 feel like this summer is when the in-person meetings and events will resume. That's similar to previous polling, a little stronger in July and August than in previous polling, but still summer is generally the consensus here. In what month do you guess that measurable economic improvement will begin? And on this one, obviously nobody thinks it will be immediately. Very few are saying in May. A small percentage are saying June, and then a little more in July and August, a bit of a jump for September, and then a very large chunk are saying later than September, so fourth quarter or beyond. And that's consistent with what economists seem to be saying. And what you'll see if you look at previous polls is that the percentage who are saying September or later than September is growing. So most of the answers are trending toward that fourth quarter onward. And then we asked finally, do you anticipate a V-shaped, U-shaped, W-shaped, or L-shaped rebound in the economy? So this is sort of the alphabet question. Previous polls, we just asked about V-shaped and U-shaped. A V-shaped recovery means a rapid decline as we are now experiencing, but then a rapid rebound. U-shaped means the rapid decline and then a bottoming out and a holding pattern for a bit and then a rebound. W, which is being more commonly referred to by economists these days, anticipates that we will have this initial decline followed by a rebound as stay-at-home orders are lifted. But then there might be another downturn, perhaps because of a rebound in COVID-19 cases that may come in a second season later this year or perhaps early next, and then a rebound after that. And lastly, L-shaped, meaning there's this decline that we're experiencing, it will hit rock bottom and stay there for a period of time in a recessionary position. So when you look at the responses here, you'll see that 56% approximately are saying U-shaped, and only 4% V-shaped. In the past, it was about a quarter or so, up to a third were saying V-shaped, and the vast majority were saying U-shaped. So where have all those answers gone? They've gone to the W. There's a big chunk here who believe that we will see that stop and start type approach to downturns and rebounds. The last question that we asked was open-ended, not a data question, just more of an open comment. What is the most difficult or challenging aspect that you faced as you navigate the impact of COVID-19 on your organization? And you see here that the answers are somewhat similar to previous polls. We tried to pull the ones out that were mentioned most often by the respondents, and they range from employee motivation and morale, the struggling of customers, which of course makes them not as likely to be customers. A continuing answer that we're seeing in these polls is that virtual engagement lacks the nuance of in-person interaction. That seems to be a really strong sentiment on the part of the respondents. The pressure of going through or having to implement pay cuts and furloughs and layoffs. Uncertainty causes paralysis. A lot of action just isn't happening because of the uncertainty. Tied to that is the challenge of forecasting and budgeting. And then there's working from home challenges, the balance of having perhaps kids who are at home from school or college, and maybe another spouse who's also working from home. It's an environment in the home workspace that's not been common for most of us, at least not for long periods of time. And then generating ideas and new business in this environment is difficult. Again, this paralysis of action can be a challenge. So that's some of the feedback that we're hearing from these polled members, leaders of the tech sector throughout North Carolina. I hope some of these insights have been instructive to you, perhaps that they will resonate with you in some cases or surprise you in others. We'll be doing this again, as I say, mid-month in May and at the end of May, and again in June in same fashion. Thanks again to Stearns Financial for sponsoring this series, and we invite you to visit our website at nctech.org for full poll results and more. Thanks very much.